Okay, before I move on and try to resolve this little project, I want to do a few small changes. First of all, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to rename all of the lights just by adding an LI at the front of it, just so that I get them all showing up in the same area. So I'll go down here and find my spotlights, do the same thing. And my point light. So those are all showing up in the same general area. Let's rename my cameras, just shorten it up, short is better. So I'm just going to call it cam 1 and cam 2. Next thing I'm going to do is I've got this bag that in the previous video shows up at around frame 100 before it does its thing. But I've got a couple of extra bags that I also have that I kept longer cloth physics on. So I think I might do something with these in the scene as well. So I guess I'll go ahead and make those visible, and let's just move them off on the periphery of the spotlight that I have. Maybe I'll give them a little bit of a rotation on Z and see what that gets us. And I think one of them I'm going to lift up a little bit higher. And let's just go ahead and push play and see what this gives us for the scene. Okay, so what we have is the two bags that I just made visible again, fall, and the physics continue all the way through so that they end up falling all the way to the ground and tipping over. And then the main bag falls, and then the physics stop where we had set them to stop in a previous video. So I'm liking that. I do want to adjust the timing. So the next thing that I'm going to do is adjust the timing as to when this actually appears and then falls. So I'm going to select the bag, and in a previous video we had created these keyframes that affected the visibility of this bag. At frame 0 it was not visible, and when we got to just before frame 100 it toggled on, and we did that using these properties over here in the outliner. Well, I want to modify that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll my mouse wheel in the timeliner. I'm going to move things over a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select both of these keyframes. What I want is I want it at 0, or that first frame, to be not visible, and I want it to toggle on maybe at frame 200 or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to push S to scale, and I'm going to scale this up and just kind of guess where it goes. Now, the next thing I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push G to grab, and then I'll slide it over so that this dot shows up at approximately frame 1. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'm going to move it, and uh-oh, something happened. What happened is that that bag has now been toggled onto invisible, so nothing's actually gone wrong. It's just the frame that I happen to be in. If I move this from the frame that I'm in, out here, we will see that the bag is visible again. So it's just a matter of where things are lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure I've got those frames grabbed again, and I will push G and slide them over and get them about where I want them. I can zoom in to be more precise because we can see that I am off by a bit. So I'll just grab those and slide them over a little bit more to where I want them. So the bags run their course. They fall, they hit the ground, they jiggle and bounce, and eventually tip over. And then the other bag does appear in a few moments, but we'll see that nothing actually happens. Let's jump ahead to that. So this bag has appeared, but now it's floating in the air, impossibly. The physics that we had applied don't seem to be working. Well, why is that? Let's take a look. So with the bag selected, if we go to the Physics tab, we can take a look and we should be able to see that the simulation starts at frame 100 and ends at frame 160. Well, the bag doesn't even show up until after frame 200, the way that I have things currently set up. So let's look at where the bag actually appears. The bag appears somewhere around frame 258 or 259. So let's take the simulation and have it begin at, say, 260 and end at frame 325 or whatever the case might be. And let's rerun this and see what happens now. So when we rerun it, we see that the bags fall, and then when we jump ahead, we'll see that the bag appears at the prescribed time, and it does approximately what we would be expecting it to do. So now the last thing that I think I want to do is make a quick adjustment to the lighting. If we take a look at the spotlight, I think I'd like to just change it a little bit so that it takes up a larger area. So I'm just going to make a small change. I'm going to go to the light properties. I'm going to expand the size a little bit. In fact, I'm going to actually expand it quite a bit because I'm also going to soften up and blend it a little bit more so that you still get that softer effect that fades out. And then maybe I'll take the power up just a little bit more yet. Make it just a little bit stronger. And let's just go into camera view really quickly and play this from the beginning and see what we get. So overall this is much better. The timings are not great, so I'm going to tweak that a little bit. And then we'll come back and make a couple of last minute adjustments to the camera before we think about maybe doing some renders and creating a video, unless something else comes to mind between now and then.